let's start with our reporter, Bernard Akede, who is the lead correspondent on News Central Television. He's currently in Osun State and is going to be giving us a lowdown as to how the atmosphere is in Osun. Well, we have, of course, people who will be discussing this very important issue as regards the coming gubernatorial election in Osun State. I understand that Babawale Popoola, who is the SSA to Osun State Governor on Youth and Strategic Engagement, is right here on the loop. Good evening to you, sir. And I also have Jake Epelle, CEO founder, TAF Africa. Oba Adekunle Oyelude, who is the Olowu of Owu-Kuta Kingdom, is also part of this conversation. Olajide Esan, the AAC governorship candidate, also in Osun State, would also be talking to us. Kehinde Ayantunji, member, Media Committee, Osun APC Campaign Council, also from Osun State, is part of this conversation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. I'd like to understand what you mean by desperation. Is it on the part of all the political actors in Osun State, or you would want to link that to a particular party? Of course, we've seen a lot of events go down in Osun, from the Accord Party, the governor, the EFCC, even, of course, the PDP and the APC. But when you talk about desperation, what do you mean?
Desperation is that if they actually want to serve people, there wouldn't be any reason for them to be engaging in violence and be using the same youth they've made jobless to be committing crimes and to also be attacking themselves. So, and that is why I said more their interests represent the desperation we have always been experiencing in Nigerian politics, because their interest is not about serving people, it's about taking advantage of the same problems that they themselves have created.
I need to see if I can bring in Jake Epelle into this conversation. Let me also get your view. I mean, Olajide is saying that there's a bit of desperation. What's your own assessment of the current situation in Osun State?
Having me, I just came back from Osun State a couple of days ago, and I'm heading back by next week, a couple of days before the election. I would want to benchmark my thoughts around a little bit of a departure from the usual politicians. I would say that as Osun State people heads to the polls, this is another important election. Nigerians should resist the temptation to reduce the conversation to accusations and counter-accusations between political parties, allegations of vote buying, electoral fraud, intimidations. And I mean, these are very serious matters, but they must ultimately be addressed through credible evidence and impartial investigation, not political propaganda. The larger question before us is whether our electoral institutions are sufficiently prepared to guarantee an election that is free, fair, peaceful, transparent, inclusive, and accepted by all stakeholders. Every election presents an opportunity either to strengthen democracy or weaken public confidence in it. Success should not be measured by simply announcing a winner. It should be measured by whether citizens can vote freely without fear, whether every vote will count equally, whether security agencies remain politically neutral, a situation we emphasize today with the IG, the need for him to remain neutral. And I did call on the IG to provide security architecture for all candidates. I saw the incumbent, saying that his security protocol or security team, he doesn't seem to trust them. That's a sitting governor, and he shouldn't be pushed to that extent, knowing fully well he's the chief security officer of the state. So whether electoral rules are applied consistently and whether vulnerable groups like my group, including persons with disability, women, older persons, first-time voters can participate without discrimination. These are very important strategic conversation that we need to be having now. And I also was very concerned. As a matter of fact, it was opposite the hotel that I was staying. The bridge was very close to the hotel that I was staying. And I had a first-hand experience about the bombing and the snatching of voters' cards, which we took on with the rec. We did ask the rec what she was going to do about it, So the real victory in Osun will not belong to any political party. It will belong to democracy. If the process is credible enough that both winners and losers accept the outcome because they trust the integrity of the process.
Okay.
It's very important that we underscore this and underpin this and begin to change the conversation. There's too much fear.
Yeah,
politicians
Jack,
are stoking fear.
Jake, so let's just spend that conversation there as regards to integrity. Of course, it should cut across not only the electoral umpire, but then all the political actors in the state. But we need to quickly go on a break right now. When we return, we'll engage other guests as we continue to look at this. Do stay with us. So the political atmosphere in Osun State is set to be tense, but how tense is it? We've seen a lot of events go down between the political actors in Osun State, from the governor down to other party stalwarts in the APC, throwing different jabs and different accusations as regards vote intimidation, vote buying, and a lot of other claims that we are going to be clarifying on this show tonight. But before we continue to engage our guests, let's see if we can at this point talk to Bernard. Bernard, now tell us what you've seen so far in terms of your interactions with the people in Osun State as regards the coming gubernatorial election.
All right, thank you for having me, Lekon, and good evening to you, as a matter of fact. Concerning the electoral activities in Osun State, to start with, you would notice one thing, and my colleague, Mercy Babajide, who is equally in the state, had laid emphasis on this. Upon entering the state, you will notice that some billboards, campaign billboards, have been vandalized, depending on where you go to and who is popular in that particular area. So if you go to a region where the ruling Accord party is not the popular party, there you see billboards that have been vandalized and mutilated. And then if you go to a place where the opposition party is not popular, you will get to find the same thing there as well. However, from our experience, it looks like it's just a, and forgive me for saying this, but this is based on what we have noticed. It's looking like it's a two-horse race between Accord party, the ruling party, and the All Progressives Congress, the APC, which was the party that was ruling in the state before. Most of the campaigns that we have seen in the past 3 days have been only based on, organized rather by these two parties. The campaigns, the rallies, have largely been by these two parties. Remember again that just some days ago, we had the state accounts being frozen by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, a move that was celebrated by opposition, by the major opposition party, being the APC, and then that ruling was reversed. We had interviews with top officials of the APC today who gave several reasons why they believe that the ruling party should be discredited. And then, of course, you have the ruling party, of course, saying the same thing about the All Progressives Congress. So, again, it's looking like it's a two-horse race, largely because most likely these are the two biggest parties in the state, and it's looking like they are the two most active parties in the state. But again, we would not physically discredit any party. We know that we've seen this happen before. We'll wait until everyone gets to the polls come August 15th.
Bernard, thank you so much for sharing that detail with us. Now, I'll come to Babawale Popoola, of course, the Senior Special Assistant to the Osun State Governor on Youth and Strategic Engagement. And I'll just pick it up from our correspondent's summary as regards, most especially when you talked about billboard vandalism. And I recall in 2025 December, some actors in the opposition accused the Adeleke administration of frustrating them with the Osun State signage agency and restricting them from using or even erecting their signposts or their billboards in the state. How would you react to this allegation and the vandalism too?
Must first state very clearly without missing word that the current government that we have in the state under Governor Ademola Adeleke is a people-friendly government. And as such, my governor has consistently advocated for peaceful engagement. And as a matter of fact, while we started our campaign, we actually earmarked our engagement on our reloaded 5-point agenda. And it may interest you to know that what tops the 5-point agenda is integrated youth, women, work and workers' welfare and empowerment. And that has been the basis of our engagement. And unfortunately, for Osun people in the next gubernatorial election, the two major candidates of our own party, the Accord, and that of the opposition, the APC, are not newbies in the political dispensation of the state. And as such, it is safe to say that the two candidates have been tested over time. And the people have seen who is people-friendly and who is there to pursue a personal interest, so to say. And as such, the Osun people have been passing vote of confidence all around the nook and cranny of the state. Recently, traditional rulers named Governor Adeleke as icon of infrastructural development. And it may interest you to know that what is currently happening to Osun State government is beyond EFCC freezing our account. It is not an accountability issue. We have constantly raised the concerns about destruction of billboard properties, and not just destruction of properties. It may also interest you to know that our party and supporters of our government have been witch hunted by the APC using federal might. It may interest you to know that why the only reason why they are doing this is because the people continue to show growing interest and sentiment in re-electing Governor Ademola Adeleke. And the truth of the matter is, you may even care to know that the account that was frozen was not because of any fraud, but because our government decided to pay palliative to workers in the state.
Okay.
In the last 12 years prior to this administration, Osun people, especially the workers, are aware of what they went through in the hands of the APC government in the state. And it is also good that our president, who is the father of all in the country, has also expressed that he's deeply embarrassed at how public institutions are being used to witch hunt the Osun State government, and particularly Governor Ademola Adeleke.
All right, Babawale, let's peg your response there. I quickly want to get, of course, some reaction from Kehinde Ayantunji, who is the Osun APC Chairman Council. Of course, a member, is part of the media committee. How would you react to Babawale's claim, so to speak, as regards the APC using the federal might to witch hunt the administration of the incumbent in the state?
Well, thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here. It's not a new allegation, and I want to give credence to the report of your reporter in Osun, who really gave us the true situation of what we are experiencing here in Osun. Let me say this. It's like the state government is using defensive tactics by really downplaying the substance of this election, and they want to prime the issue of federal might so that when they lose, they will have an excuse that it is the federal might. Because the question you ask yourself is, what is federal might? If the definition of federal might is that whosoever that commits crime, because it belongs to an accord party, should not be arrested. If the definition of federal might is that when they found a gun in the custody of an appointee of the governor, it should not be arrested. If the federal might is that when the anti-graft agency suspected a serious financial infraction, particularly with the one that we are discussing, by moving close to 11 billion within 5 days from one bank to another, if that is federal might, then we should call the integrity of that government into question. So all what I'm saying is this: the first question you should ask, has anybody commit crime in these circumstances Yes, they have committed one. Has government committed any infraction, financial infraction? Yes, they have done one. So the issue is this: when you commit an offense and the security agents or law enforcement agents refuse to protect you, definitely they will blame President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or federal government to have done this. When we won the case of the local government at the appeal court, they refused to obey the court judgment and they said it's federal might. So what I see in this administration is that they want to shift every blame to the federal government so that when they lose, they will have an excuse. And as your reporter rightly said, as you noted at the beginning of the conversation, it is that what we are discussing about Osun is the scale of violence, is the number of people that has been killed, is accusation and counter-accusation. And I see this as a deliberate strategy by the ruling party in the state, Accord Party, because to the best of my knowledge and in my own estimation, it's like they don't have nothing new to tell the people of the state because they have disappointed people. So they need to prime these issues, especially crime and criminality, above the substance of the campaign, because they have not answered critical question of what have you done in the last 3 years in agriculture, what have you done in the last 3.5 years in education, what have you done in the last 3.5 years in youth development. So these are the conversations that we are expecting as an opposition. And when you look at our campaign strategy, you will see that it's an issue-based campaign driven.
All right.
The state government always come out on daily basis.
Yeah, we are going to talk more as regards what the Adeleke administration has done in the last 4 years. But let me quickly come to Olajide and pick it from the angle of the use of federal might. Now, in defense, the Osun State government said the money that is being given is more or less like palliative as a relief cushion to the people of the state due to the economic hardship, but then that some certain people are trying to use that as a way to rigmarole their way into the hearts of people and make it look as though what they are doing is wrong. And the fact that the so-called federal government, so to speak, and those within that confines of power are using that machination to, in some way, want to subjugate the good intentions of his administration. Now, how would you classify or, of course, describe this tense political situation and claims coming from different parties?
Yeah, as I've said earlier, I said the both parties represent the same establishment with the illusion of choice for the people. And it's not really about the people, it's about the interests of these political powers, so they call themselves. So to me, giving palliatives at this point in time is something that is not appropriate, and is to me, I call it a strategic way of voters inducement. Because why would you, where were you 3 months ago? Did it actually just start during election? But why didn't they do that 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months ago? And what about the other Osun residents that are not working for government? Don't they also have certain things to benefit from government? So to me, it's just a kind of pattern we're already used to in Nigeria, and that is why Osun people have to look beyond these same political parties that comes with regular noise. The parties who make the most noise. So and focus on the ones and the parties that have real plans and that represent the real alternative for Osun people. And if this party can actually make Nigeria work or make Osun great, we would have seen this in our society. Consider the state of our educational system in Osun State. Consider the agriculture and on other areas of governance. So they have not done excellently. And also on the one of construction, what have they done? Other than the kangaroo project. And this current one they are not just the only bad ones. The previous ones are already known for, they're already known as failure because they have disappointed Osun people, and I believe that Osun people will never consider them. And this current one are also there because people thought these ones would be different from from the previous one, but at the end of the day, they are the same. That is why when they are moving from one party to another, they will have no reason to ask Osun people, the people they say they are representing, it has always been about their own personal interests, not the interests of the masses. And that is why we have to fight against this illusion of leadership, that we see leadership with the same people who benefit from our problems. And I do tell people that those who benefit from our problems can never offer us any real solutions. You know, the governance and the system is like a business to them. And they keep on coming with the same, they keep on recycling the same promises that they will never keep. And also consider the issue of, the growing population of jobless youth in the state. That is why they have a lot of youth, they've been using to commit violence and atrocities in the state.
Olajide, thank you very much. Extensive, of course, response that you've given there. But I would want us to push the, or your concerns or your question to Oba Oyelude as regards why is it that the governor is just, releasing palliatives or giving palliatives to the people now? So it draws the question as to what has the Adeleke administration done in the last 4 years? And do you think that it is deserving of a re-election?
I think as a traditional ruler, I want to maintain the position of a royal father and the position of the State Council of Oba, headed by His Imperial Majesty, the Ooni of Ife. What we are clamoring for as a traditional ruler is a peaceful conduct of the election. We want the principal stakeholders, the Independent National Electoral Commission, the Inspector General of Police, and all other relevant security agencies to ensure that the election goes on peacefully.
Oba Oyelude, sorry to cut in, sir. Sorry to cut in. So we respect and we revere the position that you hold in Osun State as a royal father. And we know that in some way you have an influence and you would have that leverage to help us understand what the level of administration is in Osun State. In as much as we want credible elections, we want it to be peaceful. I would like you to just give your candid opinion, because you are an institution in Osun State. We need to understand if the governor who has served in Osun State for 4 years is deserving of re-election, if he has done well, if the people can say they've benefited in several areas, of course, in the state, and they should be putting or thumbing their votes for the governor. We need to, chronicle that.
Thank you very much. In as much as I believe we traditional rulers should remain apolitical, but if you are asking me to rate the current administration, I would say it's excellent, because we traditional ruler, the yardstick we use in rating and administration: 1, maintenance of peace and security. So if we talk of peace and security, which is what the basis of government, peace and security and welfare of the citizen. If you talk of peace and security, Osun has remained one of the most peaceful states in the Federation prior to the electioneering period. So I don't want my rating to be confused with the electioneering period. Osun is one of the most peaceful states. I don't know how the governor managed to do that, but he has been excellent when it comes to peace, maintenance of peace and security in the state. He worked in synergy with all relevant security agencies prior to the electioneering period, quotes and unquotes. So the governor has been excellent, and the citizens of the state have been enjoying the relative peace as guaranteed by the Constitution under the watch of the incumbent governor. So we give kudos to him for that.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Let me go on to Mr. Jake. So let's look at the angle that Babawale raised, which has to do with the freezing of the Osun State government's accounts by EFCC. Though the president has come out to say that that is quite insensitive and untimely. Of course, I'm looking at the political dispensation in the state. But then what is your perception as regards that? Because it seems as though, the accusation is there are financial irregularities and the governor is expending public funds or state funds in areas that are not constitutional. But then, in EFCC taking that position at a time like this, what does it tell you?
Simply put, the president is the commander-in-chief. If EFCC had made the kind of decision that they made, and the president overruled that decision and asked them to reverse course, then so be it. There's really nothing much to comment about that. It simply means that it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And I think the president did what a father should do in situations like this. And I saw him, taking a bit of responsibility for what happened. And that's what leadership, a good leader will reverse himself. And that's exactly what he has done. So that puts paid to the issue of the account being frozen. It also speaks volume to say that it shouldn't have happened in the first place. But let me weigh in on something that I was thinking about when all the parties concerned were making their contribution. You see, there's a lesson to be learned in what is playing out in Osun. And that lesson is what opposition can do in electoral process, in a democratic process. I think APC should learn a lesson here that if they can put up a very strong opposition in Osun, they should also encourage the same opposition to happen elsewhere. I am not very much driven to blame APC outrightly for weak opposition across board. I blame the politicians generally because I feel that despite all the complaint about APC doing that or doing this, that if they want to put up a good opposition, they can put up a good opposition, And so let's learn the lesson that true democracy would thrive when there is very strong opposition, which is what APC is trying to do in Osun. They should allow that same trend across board. However, it's interesting when I see politicians trying to blame each other. Can we focus on issue-based campaign? I watch many of them, postulates and all that. They were busy criticizing either the incumbent or the person that is coming in or the person that is going out. What are you going to do for the people? That should be the focus. What is it that you can do? Can we leave personality and begin to focus on the issue? What is it that you will do for the state, for Osun people? Why will they elect you? Why do you want to be given the opportunity to lead? Do you have what it takes to lead? Do you have the integrity, the capacity, the competence to lead the people? Are you saying that the people love you, they want you, and that you have satisfied them either in the past or in the present? Those are the issues that we should focus on, and ensure that is the security of lives and properties. I spoke to the IG today, and I said the responsibility is on you to ensure that the state of insecurity that we're seeing in Osun State does not extend, it doesn't extend this to this election, So it's important that we focus on these issues than just rhetorics or trying to outdo each other with accusations and counter-accusations. Politicians, you all are the same. You're the same. When the opportunity is given to you, some of you will squander the opportunity. And I think also the people let the people make their choice. Let the people decide who rules them and not impose a candidate on the people. It's a misnomer and it will backfire. Let the people make their choice. And I want to use this opportunity to talk to Osun people. The only time you have the power to decide who would administer the state is now. One, do not sell your vote. It's not worth it.
Okay.
Do not buy is not worth it. Make sure that the only time you have to exercise your power is now, and that vote is your power. Your voice is your power. Don't let crooked politicians take advantage of you. Let the right person that is the right choice of the people, let that person win. And if you lose, support the winner so that we can have a credible electoral democratic process. And I applaud the other, you know, for being that audacious, for being
Jake,
doing what a traditional ruler should do. You spoke truth to power.
Thank you so much, sir. We just need to hold that conversation right there. I think that's a safe space to put it. Credible elections, how we get that done. We are going to go on a break right now, and when we return, I'll take your concluding thoughts, all gentlemen, as regards what we all need to do in our different spaces to ensure that the coming election in Osun State is free, fair, and void of violence. Do stay with us. We'll be back in a bit. So even as we gradually bring to a close this conversation as regards the coming election, gubernatorial election in Osun State, let me quickly talk to Babawale just in about a few seconds, or should I just say just in a minute. I'd like you to help us understand what is the position of the Osun State governor in partnering with the police, because we know there's a new CP in the state, and all other institutions to ensure that this particular election is void of violence, there are no intimidation, no vote buying, and of course, everything goes smooth.
Government and as a political party, they are Osun State. I must reiterate that we have signed the Democratic Pact with Osun people, and we are peace-loving. It may also interest you to know that recently the governorship candidates were supposed to sign a peace accord, which Governor Adeleke signed for the people. But unfortunately, the candidate of the APC has absconded. That is to show you that Osun State government under Governor Ademola Adeleke, we are resolute. And it is also good to say that in Osun, unfortunately, in exception to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC is seen as a political assembly of sadists because they are known for inflicting pains and affliction on Osun people.
Babawale, okay, so we do not need that narrative. I just want us to, move ahead and share thoughts as regards what needs to be done to ensure that this election is free and fair.
Remember that recently Governor Adeleke even sounded that if it is his biological son that has committed the crime, he should be arrested. That's to show you the level that we are committing to a violence-free election.
Okay, fantastic.
Unfortunately, those perpetrating it against us are working as free men, even enjoying escort.
All right, thank you so much, Babawale. Thank you so much, Babawale. I appreciate your response. Olajide, what are your expectations for the coming election? 30 seconds.
I'm expecting Osun people to take a different approach to leadership, because leadership is not about noise. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about how fat your bank account is. Not about how much structure of criminalities you built across polling units. My only concern is the issue of mental conditioning that make people see leadership solely in the same people who will be making life a hell for them. So, and now the definition of insanity is to be doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If we actually want a different society, Osun people need to take a different approach to leadership. That the kind of politics that has brought Nigeria to its name is not the one that can save Nigeria.
All right, Kehinde, your thoughts?
The law enforcement agencies not to allow the blackmail of the current ruling party in Osun State to wound their morale and to wound their professional conduct. Because what they want to do is to make sure that they try as much as possible to blackmail the federal institutions, especially the police, so that they will give their hoodlums a cover.
All right, thank you so much.
So when we have that, when we have a sufficient security in the state, we are very sure and we are confident that we are going to win that election. That's why we are advocating for free, fair, and
credible election. Thank you.
Vote. That's what we are demanding.
Kehinde, thank you. Oba Oyelude, just 15 seconds, please.
My thought on the forthcoming election is that we should work hard to have a peaceful, free, and fair and transparent election. All the relevant stakeholders that are saddled with the electioneering activities should ensure that everybody play according to rules.
Okay, all right.
So God Almighty will choose for the people of Osun State.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Epelle, of course, we're actually pressed for time, but every single word that has come out from everyone is succinctly, of course, meaningful and accepted at this point. Thank you so much for your contributions on the show, and we appreciate your time.